A few days after the Medusa fashion show, I found myself in a fit of depression and I didn't know what to do with it. I think I struggled a lot with PTSD and depression and anxiety back then, and I didn't really know what it was, nor did I know how to do with it. I just knew there was a lot of stuff inside me and there was a lot of sadness inside of me, and sometimes it came out and I didn't know what to do with it. But someone that has had depression in their lives since my early teens, something that I had struggled with and dealt with. It's interesting to use the word struggle because you don't even know that you're struggling when you're struggling. But depression was something that I've dealt with my whole entire life. And as a young teenager, I didn't know how to express my words and I didn't know how to express myself. And I was very quiet, very, very quiet as a teenager. I didn't express how I was feeling, good or bad. I stuffed a lot of things down, ignored them, and then cried and thrashed it out later privately. I secretly very much became a cutter. And I think cutting for me wasn't about attention. It wasn't about mutilating myself or not loving myself. Cutting had more, for me personally, it had to do with the fact I couldn't get it out. I couldn't get what was going on with me emotionally and psychologically. I didn't know how to articulate it. I didn't know how to express it. At the time, I didn't have a creative outlet. I mean, I drew and I did pottery, but as far as the ugly stuff or the icky stuff, I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't have that platform. I didn't know how to create that platform and actually speak. And I was really scared of showing that side of myself. You know, children, when they show that darker side of themselves, it's because they trust you enough and feel safe enough to express it. I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel safe in my own environment, and I didn't feel safe amongst my peers. So I kept a lot of things privately and to myself. So I cut. I used to cut up my arms and then I'd wear long sleeves and no one would ever see it. And for me, it was about blood, sweat, and tears. It was the only way I could get the pain out and the only way I could let go of it and release it. And I felt such huge release when I did it. I stopped cutting for years and didn't hurt myself until my spurt with Seattle. I didn't cut myself again until I lived in Seattle. I think before that it was like my freshman year in high school. So I hadn't mutilated myself since then. But a week after the Medusa show, I found myself curled up in a ball in the attic where my room was, crying hysterically and just thrashing and freaking out inside myself and not knowing what to do with it. And for the first time since my freshman year in high school, I took a razor blade and I sliced up my arm really bad. I still have scars all over my left arm. It's not something I'm proud of and I don't recommend it to anybody. Cutting is a really bad way to express yourself and to let it out. There's much more constructive, healthier ways. I do believe in art therapy. I do think that young teens and young adults should learn about art therapy, and I wish that they would use art therapy more because I do think a lot of young people don't have places to properly express themselves freely where it's safe to be whatever it is they need to be in that moment, even if it is ugly. Especially with your ugly emotions and ugly feelings about things. It's really hard to express that. It's hard to express it to your parents. It's hard to express it to your peers. I think that it would be amazing to see them have a platform to create that space where it's safe to do that, where they don't have to tuck it away in a notebook under their bed somewhere. I remember Holly Lane showing up at my house. I love that woman. She's so beautiful. She showed up at my house and she saw my arm, and instead of scolding me or rejecting me because of it, she had compassion and she had love in her heart and she embraced me and she brought me bread and butter and sliced oranges and just sat with me in my room and cried with me and ate her little snacks with me. And that was really the first time I've ever seen such compassion from another human being that I was still just getting to know. And Holly and I were not super tight. We were friends, acquaintances. We had a mutual best friend And so I always saw her and her husband, her fiance at the time, at RedAnt events or at our friend's house, and there was always that common bond between us, in the sense that we always just connected, and we were able to hang out and just be girls, and it was safe and it was lovely, and she's such a beautiful energy. But I had never seen such compassion from someone like that before, and it really touched my heart in so many ways. And I didn't know how to express it or what to do with it, as far as like, how do you give that back? How do you let someone know that you are so grateful for that?